Hey, it's me again coming at you right before this podcast, this emergency podcast. You'll see why in a little bit why we decided to record a podcast and send it out as soon as possible. But just coming at you before with a little bit of some editor notes. On the last episode number 3 on the movie A Monster in Paris with my mom, she mentioned that she couldn't remember some of her favorite movies. She texted me about a week later and she said, "Oh, I remember the movies that are my favorites." So she mentioned any James Bond movie, which is a no-brainer if you know my mom. She loves James Bond, specifically the Sean Connery version and the Daniel Craig. The other movies that she mentioned, she likes Fiddler on the Roof and Phantom of the Opera. So you can kind of see her taste. It's like action movies, musicals, and then some animated movies. So that's all I wanted to say. And on this episode, we're going to deviate a little bit from the premise of the show, and I feel with this particular guest, we might do that. But on this instance, I had another movie picked out, but you'll see why I decided to switch it up a bit. So thank you so much for guys watching. No, not watching because you're listening, unless you watch with your ears. Thank you guys so much and enjoy the show. Hello and welcome yet again to another episode of Mystery Movie Nostalgia. It is I, your host, Brian, your beloved host, Brian. And today we have a very special episode. I don't know if you've ever seen any of those old school TV shows that on this very special episode of Full House or like Family Matters.
I think so, yeah.
But basically when they had a very special episode, it dealt with a very heavy subject.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so it was like on this episode of Family Matters, like DJ has an eating disorder or like this person is abused or something like that.
Yeah, I get it.
So our very special episode today is going to deal with death.
Oh, God.
I don't know if that's appropriate or not. So I am very sorry, Jose, that this is the first episode you're doing and we're going to deal with a sensitive subject. I dropped a bomb on you on the first episode.
That's all right.
But I felt like I needed to do this episode because of what happened yesterday. So we're recording this on September 10th, Tuesday, yesterday on 9/9. James Earl Jones passed away. So we're going to be breaking the rules a little bit of the podcast. Usually we watch a movie that my guest has not seen, but you mentioned that you have seen this movie.
Yeah.
How old were you when you saw it the first time?
Probably like 5 or 6.
Oh, wow. So that was a long time ago. So 15 years ago.
Yeah.
By the way, my guest is like super young. Anyways, I bet his knees like work just fine. Point being that, so we're breaking the rules a little bit for this episode. So we're going to be revisiting one of his classics, not Star Wars, not Hunt for the Red October, not Field of Dreams, not The Lion King. Maybe we'll get to some of those some other time, but we're going to be watching The Sandlot, a movie that I haven't seen in a while, but I do remember it vividly. And although he's not in the movie that long, I think his character is very poignant and like one of the most important characters in the movie. And like I mentioned, we already heard his voice. My guest today is Jose. Everybody, let's say hello to Jose.
Hello?
Oh, wait, hold on. We need more applause than that. Hey, Jose. What's going on, buddy?
Hello, man.
Hey, thank you for doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you
So
for
we've
having
known each other for about 2.5-ish years.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's been that long since I moved to Nashville. And people always tell me that I'm old enough to be your father. And your dad is probably about my age, maybe a little bit older.
A little bit.
Especially your sister. She's like, you're old enough to be my dad. And then, a lot of the people in the congregation, or the kids most importantly, they call me El Tío Brian.
El tío.
I got big unk energy.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So the first question I always ask my guests, Jose, do you have a favorite movie? Do you have a movie that like your go-to?
I feel like I have many. I feel like growing up, I had like Transformers, live action movies.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious.
Oh, gosh.
Those movies, especially growing up with like Hispanic tíos.
Yeah.
Se creían los gangsters, Yeah.
My tuner, homie. Let's go in the lowrider, homes.
Exactly.
The higher the socks, the downer the fool. Which is weird because they make Toretto, right? And his whole family ought to be like Mexican.
Yeah.
I think.
Pretty much.
I think it's Italian. I think it's Italian.
He's not even Hispanic.
He's not even Hispanic. And either is his sister, Jordana Brewster.
Yeah, no.
I think Paul Walker was more Hispanic than all of them, dude. And he was white as heck.
Probably, man.
He was from the OC. I think he was from the OC, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
I think so, dude.
Okay.
He probably wore high socks too and like Vans and whatnot. Like what was the West Coast Customs t-shirts and all that?
Yeah. Get that energy, yeah. Especially the first one.
So yeah, Fast and Furious, that's your jam.
Yeah, and I have a couple others. Recently, now I've been getting like not too long ago, I got into Star Wars.
Mhm.
That was something like at first I put it off for a long time. I
Yeah.
was like, I ain't trying to watch those movies, old people. And then one day I just decided I got Disney Plus, and then I put it on. I was like, okay, this is going somewhere, and I watched all of them, and that's part of my go-to now.
Awesome. It's funny when people like now, especially younger people, like I would say like your sister or even like Benji and Daniel, and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, I haven't seen Star Wars. And a lot of people are like, well, you haven't seen Star Wars? And like, no, but that movie was made almost 60 years ago. Obviously, they're not going to, you got to give them some time. They're kids.
Yeah.
And even you, like, oh, you just got into it. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah, like that makes sense. Like, Star Wars was closer to my generation when I watched it than it is to yours now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be a disconnect.
Like I showed it to Dayanara, right, to my sister, and at first, to the idea of her watching Star Wars, she cringed. She was like, "Really?"
Would you say it was a Skippity, Ohio cringe?
Yeah, it was kind of somewhat like that. Man.
Okay.
And then by episode, what was it? 3. Oh man,
So you saw the prequels? Like the ones that were made in the 90s?
Yeah,
Okay.
I made her watch it like that, like the way George Lucas gave.
Okay.
Like 4, 5, and 6.
Oh,
and
4, 5, 6.
1,
Okay.
And then she was like, "Wow."
Oh, she likes them now.
Yeah.
Did she know about the spoiler alert for a movie that's almost 60 years old? Did she know about the twist in the second, on the fourth movie? The second one that came out.
No,
she didn't. Okay.
No. And I make sure, I was like, I know you're gonna be bored, because especially the first one that George Lucas made, it looks so boring to the movies that we're used to. And then I told her, pull through. I know you're gonna love it, and she did. She pulled through.
Oh, that's so cool. I mean, honestly, it's awesome that we're talking about Star Wars, because James Earl Jones, the voice of a generation, the voice of many people's childhoods, whether you know it or not. So we are watching The Sandlot. This movie is set during the summer. So do you have a favorite like memory of summer? I know your childhood was not too long ago, so it's still fresh in your memory.
My favorite memory, I mean, they've always been going to the pool, hang out with my siblings, cousins. I have a lot of cousins, and especially cousins I don't even talk to now anymore. They're different places, lived in different areas of Nashville or in Tennessee or different states. Some went to Mexico. But I remember I had like a huge group of cousins, like probably like 10, 15, 20. Because we used to live in apartments. We had that apartment pool, and then we would go take our stuff and just hang out, make guys be guys, you know, and
boys being boys.
Yeah, it was hilarious. And I feel like when I remember summer, especially as a kid, I feel like remembering just the simple stuff, hanging out with family, pool. I feel like that's what made me remember, like, oh yes, summer. Like, here it comes, you know, what we're gonna do this year.
I think for me it was playing sports mostly, and then just going on vacations. But I always tell people, and they look at me and they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I was younger back then. Specifically, my friend Eric Trevino in middle school, in elementary and middle school, and then in high school was Patrick Fridley. Shout out to those guys wherever you guys are. Well, Patrick lives in San Antonio. But basically being outside from sun up to sundown. In Texas, the sun sets really late, kind of like it does here sometimes. Okay. In the summer, it would set like at 8 o'clock, if not later. So we would be just playing basketball. So those are my favorite memory, playing sports specifically. And for you, since this is a sports movie, I remember a couple times you said you and your pops would go watch the specifically soccer games. Yeah. So like sports are pretty, like a big part of.
Ever since I was a little kid, he would play Sunday League.
Oh, okay.
You know, all the Hispanic.
On what is it? Richards Road?
No.
Or Antioch Pike? Like the Harding, okay.
Right there. There's a park right there. They still do it right now.
They do.
Yeah, they do.
They go all out, bro.
Yeah, man. My dad used to be part of that. And so, like, he would be part of the team. And, like, every other guy as well, they would have their kids. So we would go over to the fields, and I would play with all the kids. And it would be something like every Sunday type of thing. So, and it lasted ever since I was, like, probably, like, 4 all the way until I was 10, 11.
Yeah, I know you're out there.
Yeah,
tackling everybody, giving them red cards and whatnot.
Elbows, slide tackles.
Throwing the elbows and then throwing the soccer flop, just like,
Yeah, Neymar. Elbow Neymar, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, soccer is, I feel like to this day, I don't play it as much. I don't have the opportunity, yeah. I still watch it, catch it, like highlights, like big tournaments. Like we had the Euros and Copa America this summer. It was nice.
Were you here for that?
I was.
You were in my house?
No, because I had family over that day.
Oh,
so I was watching the Euros at my place, and then Copa America I was watching it alone as well. But to be honest, I didn't like Copa America. So underwhelming. I didn't like it.
I do like soccer. I do like watching the international play. Yeah, that's what I do like.
I agree.
Or every 4 years kind of thing. Now, baseball is not really one of my favorite sports. But when I watched this movie, I was like, oh, I want to be a baseball player. Then I found out how boring it is. So I was just like, have you ever you've been to a baseball game before?
I have one. Yeah, I went with Elmer once.
Was it recently?
No, that was probably like 2 years ago.
To the Sounds, right?
Yeah, and
the Nashville Sounds.
The Nashville Sounds, yeah. He got free tickets from work. He invited me. I think it was a Saturday. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a Saturday, and he said, "Hey, come over. We'll have free tickets, free food, drinks, and."
Wait, what? So they had like a suite? Was it like in a
suite? No, it was
because he invited me one time, but I was literally at work.
Oh, really?
When he told me.
No, it wasn't a suite. It was one of those like seats that's on like you got tables and chairs. It was nice. It was
that's so cool. Maybe next time he invites me, I'll skip work.
Yeah, man.
And go.
It was nice. Good food.
So I don't know if you know this as the AC turns on, but this movie for a lot of millennials is like a very important movie in our childhood. But yeah, for especially like all the quotes that are in the movie that we repeat. Benny the Jet Rodriguez is like a dude that we're like, yeah, he's one of us, kind of like.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for millennials, it's a really nostalgic movie. So it makes millennials nostalgic for a time that they never actually lived in. Like it makes them nostalgic for the 60s, but it's like, if you really think about it, like probably wouldn't want to live in that era.
That's true.
Especially here in the South.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Especially being a minority. But yeah, so that's kind of the nostalgic part, the memories. And this movie is so ubiquitous, so popular that even my dad knows it. My dad quotes it. And he actually showed it to kids back in LA a while ago. He showed it to some of the kids in the congregation.
Wow.
And they love it now. Wow. You're killing me, Smalls. You know, that sort of thing. Some s'mores? S'mores what? Anyways, we'll get to that. So what are you feeling going in trying to remember, like trying to see it again as an adult, I guess?
Just try to relive, the funny parts, because I vaguely remember.
Okay.
I liked it. I enjoyed it. I had fun. I had a good laugh. I just don't remember exactly like the exact clips of scenes of the movie. So I'm looking forward to remembering. What catch my attention when I was a little kid.
Oh yeah, awesome. And like I said, we're doing this because James Earl Jones passed away. He's in a little bit of the movie, but I think it's a significant portion. Tomorrow we're going to do another movie with my sister that also is a James Earl Jones movie. We both haven't seen that movie, so we're both going to see it with fresh eyes, and we're going to break the premise again of this podcast, which I'm sure we're going to do a bunch of times. So, alrighty then. You ready to watch this, bro?
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll watch this, we'll get some pizza inside of us, and then we'll come back. So, José, the first thing you said when we were watching this, like right when it started, you were like, this is unlocking so many memories.
Yeah. As soon as we just started watching the movie, it was like back to back, like, oh man, I remember this. It was like so many things I forgot, and it was like cool moments, like them at the fair or them at the swimming pool. It was fun.
Yeah, so one of the things that I noticed doing some research a little bit for this movie is that I always thought that it was filmed in LA, in the Valley. So much so that they even say, oh yeah, when I think it's Smalls, he's like, oh, when I moved to the Valley.
Yeah.
So I think it's implied that it's supposed to be set in LA, in San Fernando Valley, which is where I lived, but it was filmed in Utah.
Bruh.
Yeah. And I don't know if anybody else who has seen the movie comes as a shock, because a lot of the places look like the Valley.
Because that's what the question I was gonna ask you. Where was it filmed? Because I know at first it's like implied like L.A.
Yeah. I don't know what made it imply L.A., but that's what I thought. L.A. And then I think there's even wide shots of the city.
Yeah.
And it looks like the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
It does start off in Dodger Stadium. So.
It does start off in Dodger Stadium. Although at the end, some of the shots that they showed of Dodger Stadium weren't Dodger Stadium, because I've been to that stadium plenty of times. Actually, I went there in August, and I remember vividly, but that wasn't it. So the movie starts off with this new kid, Smalls, coming into the film, moving in, trying to make new friends. And I was like, oh, I could relate to that, because I did move to a school 3 months before school ended. And it was hard to make friends, mostly because I didn't want to, but the way that he made friends was just through sports. So we get introduced to the main characters, the main people in the Sandlot, the players, so to speak. We got Benny the Jet Rodriguez. We got Hamilton Ham Porter. We got Squints Polidorus. We got Yeah. And then it's funny because you were, when they showed the stepdad, Dennis, who's played by Dennis Leary, you were like, hey, I know this guy.
Yeah, that's what I told you. I remembered. He's in Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man.
The Amazing Spider-Man.
Where Andrew Garfield has been. Yeah, because I looked at him and I was like, I've seen you before, but I don't know from where. And then like it clicked in my head.
And like I was telling you, he's also the voice of, I don't remember the character name, but the Sabretooth from Ice Age. Do you remember that?
I forgot his name as well, yeah.
And then Karen Allen, you probably don't know the name. She plays the mom of Scott. And when I was reading this, I was like, Karen Allen, I know that name. And it clicked. Because ever since I'd seen it, I was like, this woman looks so familiar. You might have heard the movie, the Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah.
So she is the first, I guess, love interest in the movies. And eventually she is Indiana Jones's baby mama.
Ah,
yeah.
All right.
The only thing that different in this one, her hair is like reddish, brownish, but in the movies it's like blonde. I mean, black. And then of course James Earl Jones as Mr. Myrtle.
Yeah.
The former baseball player who owns the Beast and the voice of many people's childhood. What was your experience reliving this movie? Were there some things that you didn't catch the first time you saw it? Again, you saw it when you were 6.
Yeah.
So probably like a lot of things, but what were some things that you were like, oh, I didn't notice that?
I mean, the biggest thing I think is Small's character. I feel like that's one of the big things that I had forgotten as well from like remembering the movie when I watched it as a little kid. But Small's like whole influence on the story, I had forgotten. But I feel like I can see the importance as well. Also the ending as well, Mr. Myrtle. I didn't remember that part as well.
Yeah, with James Earl.
Yeah, so it was like another thing, like another unlocked memory, core memory. So
I'm not gonna lie to you, like I got teary-eyed a little bit.
Oh, really? Did you?
And not to elevate him, like to idolize him, but you know, like I said, I mean, I've said it on the podcast. Star Wars is one of my favorite movies of all times, and so is Lion King.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I'm not the type of person that puts celebrities like on a pedestal because they're, you know, just regular human beings.
Yeah.
But I would say that there have been 4 people that are famous that when they passed away, I was like, oh man, like that
hit.
That hit. So James Earl Jones was one. When Prince died, the singer Prince.
Oh yeah?
That one really got to me. And then Chester Bennington of Linkin Park. When he passed away.
Really? Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
And Anthony Bourdain. He's a TV host, a food traveler, a famous chef. But particularly those last 2, Chester and Anthony, because they both died. They both took their own lives. And I think that was like, for me, I was like, oh, dang. Like, it's one thing, not that it makes it any less horrible, but if they pass away from old age or from a disease or something, but like, we know when you're young and you struggle like that and you take your own life, I think that one really, those 2 really hit me. But when I saw James Earl Jones in the movie, I was like, oh man, like why? ¿Por qué?
¿Por qué?
So what you were saying about Smalls, he plays such a good like nerd, like he got kind of, I mean, I don't know if that's how it really was in the 60s, but he's really like, oh, gee, mister, oh, gee, Willikers. What does he say like all the time? He says like, oh, gee whiz or something like that. Yeah. He does such a good job of doing that. And the entire cast of kids, they're so good at like their roles in the movie.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah.
Over and over. Like, you're killing me, man.
Yeah, it's such a good movie, bro.
Yeah,
it really is.
Like,
it's a kid's movie, but it was like the way that they filmed it, the script, the shots that they had.
Yeah.
Especially my favorite scene with the 4th of July.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's so good.
It was creative, very nice.
And then Benny is just like the ultimate leader, bro.
Carries the whole like squad, you know.
Yeah.
Like leadership role.
He was such a good. Did you notice how good of a leader he is?
Yeah.
So I wrote this down just to show like the type of leader Benny was. All right, so he's the one who accepts Smalls into the group. He teaches him how to play baseball, which is something his stepdad couldn't do. And I'm like, how can a kid be the one to teach him how to play baseball and have more patience, right? He's a fair leader.
Yeah.
So when they all wanted to stop playing baseball because it was too hot, he was like, okay, fine, we'll go to the pool. Like, and he's not only literally, but figuratively quick on his feet because he was the one that devised the initial plan to get the ball back, and he did it like within like 30 seconds when he said, "Go find money to get a new baseball, and we'll sign it."
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. He was creative with it. He was the first one like made the idea, to get that new ball. Yeah.
And then they were like, "Oh, it doesn't look good." And he's like, "It's not supposed to look good. It's just enough like to buy us some time." And then the other thing, he's the only one that after the Beast got stuck, he was the only one after Smalls that helped
pick up the fence.
So he's a good leader, and you can see why he went on to to do the things that he did. I think for me, the thing that I liked about Smalls is that even as an adult, it's hard to make new friends.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see that struggle, right?
Yeah, I feel like everybody, you moved to a different place, you moved to a different job or whatever. You're surrounded with different people you've never met before, and you kind of have to make that leap, that effort to like, okay, like, I want to like, be accepted in a way.
And I think one of the ways I make friends is through sports.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably noticed that when I came to congregation, I would invite the friends over. And we're like, let's watch some basketball, let's watch football, something.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of the guys there, they're not big on watching sports, but I think I've gotten them to that. Like now they're like inviting me to like, hey, let's go watch this. I'm like, okay.
You're like, into it like that,
yeah. So I really also enjoyed how the not representation, because it is a very false representation of the 60s.
Yeah.
We'll get into that later, but how it showed the simpler times of like the 60s. Yeah. Now, again, it's a very sanitized version of what was really going on in the 60s, specifically with them having 2 or 3 minority kids in their group.
Yeah.
And like if it would have been like a actual representation, especially the scenes where they go to the pool.
Yeah.
They probably wouldn't have been able to get in.
Yeah.
Actually, they wouldn't have been able to get in.
No, they wouldn't. Yeah.
They would. And then the part where the other rival team would have came, like the all-white team, they would have like thrown slurs at them. Like they were doing like, you're a butt lick or you're a puss, whatever.
They would have
like,
gone hardcore.
They would have went hardcore. So again, but this is a kid's movie. That's not what it's going for.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to throw that out there. Not to get all political or nothing, but it did make me fond for an era that like I never lived in. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you got that sense.
I mean, yeah, because you were talking about that, no? Like, especially as millennials, you're saying that, no? That's like an age that you kind of aspire, I guess.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can see it, no? Because it was like peaceful, it was nice, it was chill, and we were talking about it during the movie, no? That kids were just going out playing with friends, like
I'll be gone till whenever, and their parents are like,
all right,
cool. We don't got to worry about you being in a gang or anything or getting kidnapped. So for a lot of people, this is considered to be one of the best, not only baseball movies, but sports movies in general.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would say it's up there with some of the better ones. I honestly do agree. Like, I don't know if you've heard of Remember the Titans.
Yeah, I just watched it a couple months ago.
Oh, okay. Dude, that's a good one. I don't really care for this one, but a lot of people say that there's a movie called Rudy.
Okay.
It's another good one, a movie called Hoosiers. But in my personal opinion, I would say it's this one, Talladega Nights, Any Given Sunday is another one. The Waterboy. Have you ever seen The Waterboy? It's an Adam Sandler movie. It's a really fun.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah. And then probably Little Giants. We were talking about it, which there's so many funny scenes. We were talking about the scene at the pool.
Yeah, my favorite scene. That was my favorite. Yeah, because I told you, from the beginning, I remember.
That's the one scene that you remember?
Yeah, that was the one scene I remember, and the reason why was because, what's his name? What was it?
Squids.
Squids.
So the one scene you remember is where a woman's getting assaulted? You're like, that's the one. You get us, Squid. So go ahead, bro.
No, yeah, because I remember him making the effort. No, he has this crush on this girl, right? So he makes this elaborate plan to like get a kiss from her, and yeah, I mean, from beginning to end, it was like, it started earlier in that day, right? And that same scene, he sees her when they're at the store, and she walks by in the street.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
That was earlier.
And then Yaya is like, hey, he was perving over her. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, he totally was.
Yeah. All that I had forgotten. And then like it makes it like all like, I don't know, it makes it connect
makes sense,
the dots. Yeah, it makes
come
sense.
to fruition.
Yeah, and his elaborate plans arguably was a success.
So the main part of it is that by the way, they were saying that we were looking at how much the balls cost. They were 98 cents.
Yeah.
So we looked it up, and it's $10 today. So I'm like, that's kind of a lot of money for
a kid,
for a bunch of preteens to have. If they'll basically only have one ball at a time, And if they mess up a ball, then they have to like wait the next day or whatever. So Benny basically destroys a ball by hitting it so hard it like comes out of the sleeve. They have to go get another ball. And then Smalls, who basically doesn't know anything about baseball, which he even says like, oh, my mom knows who the great Bambino is, who Babe Ruth is. He's like, I felt like such a, like, what did he say? Oh, it was like a blow to my ego that a grown woman knew who Babe Ruth, but I didn't. And his dad has a signed baseball from Babe Ruth, and he takes it from them, and he uses it to play baseball. Mm-hmm. He goes over the fence. But if you notice, that's like the main plot of the movie, right?
Yeah.
That plot doesn't start until like 50 minutes to an hour in the movie.
Yeah.
And the movie's only like an hour and 30. So I'm like, but you don't get that sense. You're entertained the entire way, even if the plot starts really late.
Yeah. Because it does feel like a different movie. Like if you start the first half, it's just the whole gist is getting this new kid to play baseball. And the second half is just getting his dad's ball back.
His dad's ball back. Which, first of all, when he finally figures out, oh, it's Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
It's baseball. Everybody's like, oh, it's the Colossus of Cloud, the great Bambino. And then Porter says something like, oh, you mean, oh, no, sorry. When they were explaining to him first
who it was,
he's like, oh, he like pretends he knows actually who the great Bambino is, Babe Ruth. But he's like, oh, I thought you meant the great Bambi. And he's like, that stupid deer. And I was like, first of all, Ham, you put some respect on Bambi's name. He's an orphan. He lost his mother to some hunters. And I don't remember the rest of the movie, but how dare you?
How dare you disrespect Bambi's name.
And his mom's name. Was Bambi supposed to, is a girl or a dude?
With Bambi?
Yeah.
I have a confession. I've never watched Bambi.
Okay, I have a confession. I haven't seen it. I mean, it's a movie like 100 years old, bro. So it's
gotta watch it too.
Leave your answers in the comments. Yeah, let us know. Let us know in the comments. Hashtag José in there. The other thing I thought was kind of funny is they were really scared about this dog.
Oh yeah.
But the dog is literally like across the fence, and I'm like, so you guys never worried that the dog was gonna jump the fence and like kill or maim you?
My biggest thing as well was that the way that they're like describing him since the beginning of the movie, like this big, huge gorilla dog. And then when Benny, that's his name, he jumps the fence and he starts running, it's just like a regular sized dog.
I mean, it's they're big dogs, but the other thing too is that scene when he jumps over the fence finally and gets the ball, which the only reason he does it is he has a dream from the great Bambino.
Oh yeah,
that's another quote that a lot of people say. And I don't know if it was attributed to this movie or it was said before. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
Yeah.
So that's another quote apart from the great Bambino.
Yeah, I've heard the great Bambino. I've heard legends never die.
And what's the other one that he said? That you're killing me, Smalls.
Oh yeah, you're killing me.
And then the other one is forever. But yeah, like what were you saying? I forgot.
Oh, about the size of the dog.
Yeah. Okay. So that was the thing. So when you see the dog, the mastiffs, I was looked that up because I'm like, I know mastiffs don't have that kind of stamina. So they literally run around the entire town.
Yeah.
In the movie, it's like probably 2 minutes, but in actuality, it probably would have been like 10 or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, mastiffs are like lazy dogs. They would not be able to run that much.
Only for their bone, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe for their bone. And I'm like, you could have just, you honestly probably could have just outran the dog.
Yeah.
Beast. By the way, I had to look this up also. PF Flyers are actually real shoes.
PF Flyers?
So those are the shoes that Benny gets.
He puts on.
Yeah, and it was funny you were saying, and I totally agree, like how you feel when you get like a new pair of shoes when you were a kid.
Yeah. Like you would like get the shoes, put them on, and then just run in the hallway like run.
Gotta break them in. I gotta break them in.
Break them in. Like these are gonna make me faster.
I remember in high school, the kids would be like, "Oh, when I can touch the rim, that's when I know I can break them." I'm like, "Bro, relax."
Yeah, man. Especially the light up ones, that they had like lights in the bottom. You stomp on them.
They were retro when I got them, but I had the Reebok pumps.
Yeah. Okay.
Where you would put pumps in the air and the thing. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was towards the end of their life as far as like me having them.
No.
But we were in LA at the beach and I put my feet next to the fire because it was cold. One of the times it was cold in LA. And I put my feet near the bonfire that we were having.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I feel so good on my feet. And then all I hear is, and I'm like, what was that? And it like popped the air that was in the shoe.
Oh my God.
The good thing is I had them for a while already, so I wasn't too devastated. But I'm like, if those were brand new, I would have
broken your heart.
Yeah, it would have been so cringe.
Yeah,
it would have been so skibbity.
Oh no,
Ohio. It would not have been demure.
It's like today's version of popping Jordans.
Yeah,
the airbags.
Yeah. I think I might have done that with a couple of shoes.
Oh god.
But anywho, when James Earl Jones comes in the picture, like all the kids, they're great actors for what they needed to be. The mom, Dennis Leary. But as someone who likes movies, as someone who's seen a lot of movies, as soon as James Earl Jones comes in the movie, it's like, oh, this guy's an actor.
Yeah.
Like you see the stark difference between everybody. It's like, you know what it felt like? It felt like a really good college team.
Yeah.
Playing basketball, and then you just get a bunch of pros in there. It's like, okay, well, the college team is good for what it needs to be, but then James Earl Jones comes in, and he's on the screen for how many minutes?
5 minutes?
5 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you can tell, like, oh, this guy's...
I feel like his role as well, it kind of puts like the cherry on top, especially for the movie and that scene. Like, I don't know, it gives him like lessons for Smalls and also a lesson for Benny as well.
Yeah.
So I think it wraps it up very beautifully.
And it's really cool to see James Earl Jones again. And I don't know if he liked baseball or something or anything, but he came out in 3 or 4 movies specifically about baseball, not including I think he came out in the sequels to this movie. One of the other scenes that I really enjoyed was the scene where they play the rival baseball team. They start giving them the insults and all that stuff, and they're like, "Let's play," right? And you were saying when he says like a porter tells one of the kids, I don't remember, it was like a stereotypical like bully in the in TV. When he finally tells him, "You play ball like a girl," you were like, "Oh, you can't say that now."
No, you can't. No,
you can't,
no.
and rightfully so. But it was just funny. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this movie's gonna get canceled." You guys got canceled.
Yeah.
And then also too the scene where he makes out with.
Oh yeah, that one too.
That one's actually more messed up, honestly, if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, some would say like if the what's it called? If the
roles were reversed.
Yeah, it would be like a whole different story, you know. So
yeah, not only was the movie set at a different time, but also like it was made in a different time. But I'm officially canceling this movie. I'm sorry, we're canceling it.
All right,
everybody's getting canceled. Anybody who's ever watched it is getting canceled. Down with the patriarchy.
All right.
Toxic masculinity. Andrew Tate or Joe Rogan or whatever.
We do not approve.
Usually when they have like a rival, like let's say 2 teams playing each other, like a rivalry and stuff like that in any sports movie, i.e. Talladega Nights, Any Given Sunday, Remember the Titans, Rudy, Chariots of Fire, whatever. The protagonist and the antagonist, they're like neck and neck. Like one, or a boxing move, one throws a hit, the other one throws a hit. One gets knocked down, one's getting knocked down. That wasn't the case in this one.
No, immediately like what's his name? What was the pitcher's name? No, not the pitcher's name. The one that was giving insults. Was
Ham.
Yeah. He immediately just starts
first pitch of the game.
He just starts trash talking to
doing the Bambino thing. I told you the calling a shot.
Yeah. No, it was hilarious. Like immediately you could just. Dominance,
and they said like they blew them, they crushed them, I think it was what they said.
Yeah.
And it's funny to show that these kids aren't just kids that play on the block, like they're legit good.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, 2 of them go pro.
Yeah, that's right.
Or one of them plays minor league but still professional. And then Ham is a professional wrestler. So it shows like these kids were not just good because they played with each other, like no, they were legit good.
Yeah.
And I would say that it kind of makes it seem like, oh, well, I mean, obviously Benny is the best. Benny's the best because he goes on to play for the Dodgers. Then it would be De Nunez.
De Nunez,
yeah. You notice? Was it because they say De Nunez, but is it supposed to be De Nunez?
I feel like it
should be like De Nunez.
Yeah.
So he's probably like Caribbean or like Dominicano, Puerto Riqueño.
Yeah.
Cubano, ayo, chico, bebo, ben very good to me. And then so like those were basically the 3 best players of the team, and
the other guys, one was a contractor, and then the other, his buddy was he had another business, I think.
So it was his brother. So it was a contractor and the architect or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Or engineer.
And
then the Yaya was a bungee jumper. My favorite one is what they call the epilogue, like the story afterwards. My favorite was Bertram. He got really into the 60s and nobody ever saw him again.
Yeah, that was like, I was gonna say, like, what does that mean?
I'm like, I need more info on that. I want to know what happened to Bertram. Like, because if you kind of like guesstimate what, so this was 62. Bertram was probably what, 12, 13?
Yeah.
So that means like
until he was 20-ish.
Yeah, so like I guess 69. So like he got into the 60s like real late in the game, and he went out with the hippie culture and like probably took some drugs and like, or maybe joined the Manson clan or something.
Oh God.
Like nobody ever saw him again. I think that was my favorite one. And then Squints.
Yeah. Oh, he went on to marry his crush, and
Wendy Pfeffercorn.
Yeah, and then he had how many kids? 6?
9.
9 kids, right?
9 kids, yeah.
God, man, he completed the mission.
Yeah, dude. He which again, that was the thing too. I was like, there's no way that like, well, he looked like he was probably the youngest besides the
Smalls.
No, besides the brother, the little brother, one that always repeated everything.
Okay, yeah. I know what you mean. Okay, I don't remember his face, but I remember.
Yeah. So I would say he's what, 10, 11? Wendy at that time looked like she was like 18.
Yeah.
In reality, she was probably like in her 20s, but 18. Let's put her conservatively at 17.
Okay.
So that means that, like, when did their relationship start? It's kind of weird.
Oh God. No, but I mean, oh God, that's funny to think
You're
about.
justifying it, bro. This, like I said, this movie's canceled, guys.
I know.
We're canceling the movie.
And you know what's crazier?
Yeah.
After they get kicked out of the pool, he says, he waves
immediately.
Hello.
She's cool with it.
You're right. And she's smiling with it. So it's like,
like that would not have happened, bro. That's pretty funny though.
Not to have 9 kids, man.
Hey, enough to have 9 kids. They make it seem like Smalls is the main character, but it's not. It's Benny. Yeah. I think for me, it's Benny. Although they do have every single character has their own like little moments of like them being the main. They got the main character energy. Yeah, as the kids say these days. But I did like that it was Benny was like the best, and the second best was De Nunez. Yeah, and they were both Latinos, and then one of them went out to play the Dodgers. Minorities. Shout out to all the Latinos listening, guys. Like I said, the higher the socks, the downer the fool. Hey.
Todos los compas out there, bro.
Todos los compas, dude, with like the Dodgers and los Yankees. You know, it's funny, like, I went to go see the Dodgers with my dad, because my dad's a huge Dodger fan. I'm not. I'm a Yankees fan. Go Yankees. But I will say that there's only 2 Dodger jerseys that I would get. One would be Fernando Valenzuela. Okay. He was a really awesome pitcher in the 80s. He's from Mexico, which, by the way, every time I watch, like, clips of him, I would say Pedro Martinez, Bartolo Colon, Big Papi David Ortiz. If you look at these guys, I'm like, oh, I could be a baseball player. Like, we have the same physique. We've had the same physique. Oh, really? Yeah, 100%. I'm left-handed when I bat. I'm usually right. I write with my right. But batting, golf, and tennis with my left, and playing drums. When I play drums, my left hand is the lead. Wow. Okay. I'm not like ambidextrous when it comes to writing, or guitar. I play with my right. Yeah. So watching those guys really gives me faith that I could have been a baseball player if I wanted to.
And you still can, bro.
Oh man, no! This is the time where the place. I'd be retired, bro. I'd be retired right now. And then the second jersey, which I think I might get and put it in my dad's new house, is, you know how you can make custom jerseys, but like have the actual team and then just put your name on it. I would get a number 3, and it would say Rodriguez.
Oh, really?
That's the only one I would get.
Homage to them.
Yeah. But it was really cool watching this movie again, bro, and reliving all the.
Yeah, man. I agree with you on that. It was like a lot of nostalgia, lots of humor that I had lost, lots of scenes. And yeah, I really had a lot of fun watching it. Yeah.
Maybe I'll get your sister on the podcast, even though she didn't want to come today.
I'll tell her.
What an absolute loser. Anything else you want to say about the movie, bro?
Oh, no. It's very fun. 100%. Well, I can't say recommend, because we just canceled this movie, right?
We canceled this movie, so you can't recommend it to anyone.
I can't recommend it, right? But I mean, if you want to have some dark humor to it, or like some, like, I don't know, just some fun. Just click on the Sandlot and watch the movie, It'll
And,
give
and
you a
the
laugh.
the inclusion of James Earl Jones works 100%. And
Oh,
it's so cool to see him. And hopefully I don't have that same reaction when I do it tomorrow with my sister, because we're gonna watch a movie, which I'm not gonna say the movie, but if you look it up, it's his film debut. Like, it's the first.
Oh yeah, it was his first movie.
It was his first movie from the 60s, and it's a really, really popular movie, and it's like one of the best rated movies of this particular director. So I think with Jose, like we mentioned, and no, not being ageist or anything, but I am going to say you are 19.
Yeah.
You're a young buck, so you haven't had in the long enough life to have seen all these movies.
No.
Yeah, but you are going to watch them. You're willing, which I do appreciate, bro, that you're willing to, like, you're not going to be like, oh, that's so old, like I'm not going to watch it. It's like, well, that's so, I don't know what kids say. That's so not demure. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I'm too old. Like, I'm becoming that guy that's like,
how old are you?
34. A quick note. I am so old, in fact, that I forgot how old I was. I'm actually 38. Okay, bye.
Damn.
All right, dude. Hit me with the Don Cheadle, huh? With the Don Cheadle dame. But I think with you, bro, hurt my ego, dude. I bet you have no back problems, bro. Jeez.
None at all, man.
Jeez, get out of here, bro.
No knee problems, no nothing. Oh, just kidding.
No, you're good, bro. You know I don't take that personally. I will put you in my death note, by the way.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good. Sounds fair.
But as we were saying, that since you haven't seen a lot of popular-ish movies,
yeah,
I think that's what I'm gonna have you on to watch the movie.
I like
so you're gonna experience the movie not just like all relax and chill. Like, I'm gonna make you talk. I'm gonna be like, talk about the movie on the podcast, and like, hey, I'm gonna go watch the Matrix movies. I'm like, no, if it's not on the podcast, you can't watch it.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
I mean, I haven't watched The Matrix, so
they are rated R, so I don't know how you feel about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And is it a hard R?
Because I mean, some are rated R just because it has, like, I don't know, like blood. Like
no, this
just
one
like one scene of blood, and that, like,
this one doesn't. I think
classifies the whole movie.
It's violent. It's a violent
movie. Oh, okay then.
Now, granted, I did watch these movies like back in the day. So yeah, thank you so much, Jose. We'll for sure do this again. I appreciate you being on the podcast.
No, thank you for having me. It's an honor, pleasure to being with El Tío.
El Tío Brian.
Yeah.
Let's have an applause for Jose, and then a little bit of this.
Thank you.
All right, dude. I'll see you like in 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, bro. See you.
So I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels this way, but James Earl Jones really had a big impact in my life as a moviegoer. He was like really well known as the voice of Darth Vader, and his lines were very iconic. For a lot of us kids, we were just like, this is the big bad, but the first time I ever actually saw him, act as a person was in the movie The Sandlot. He played a blind man who used to be a big deal in the baseball field, but he no longer is. His name, I believe, was Mr. Myrtle. And his performance right there was just, to me, outstanding. And again, he did a lot of voice work, like for Mufasa and The Lion King. He did comedies like Coming to America. There's so much I can say about him, but to me, I've always been a big fan, not just from his acting, but because of that voice that he has. It just really just captured your attention.